Hey, it's Mike. Welcome to Flatbed 101 again. I've had a lot of people asking me about tarp jobs because I'm really particular with my tarps. You want them really tight, you don't want any flapping because flapping causes tears, and nobody likes buying tarps. So we've already got our back tarp laid out. We threw a couple of bungees on the front up there, and I'll show you that in a minute when we get to the next one. I'm going to show you the back end here, and then I'll cut, and then I'll show you how to lay out the front tarp, which is the exact same as the back tarp, and then we'll probably cut, and then I'll show you a couple different methods of doing bungees and things like that. I may start making videos like this on different tarp jobs. I figured this was a beautiful one to start with because I don't know if you can see, but it's perfectly fucking square. It is straight up and down on the back, on the front, and it's just the perfect square load for lumber tarps. Yes, you're going to notice I do not use Prime tarps for my lumbers. I have 27-foot custom lumber tarps from the same people that Prime gets theirs from. If you decide to go that route, I highly recommend buying them straight from Oliver. If you need his number, I have it. I can get it for you. So can the guys from Flatbed Securement at Springfield. He's based in Joplin, and the reason I say buy them straight from him is because Prime upcharges in order to charge through your Prime account. So if you can pay cash or credit or whatever straight to Oliver, I highly recommend it. You'll save like 25%. So, okay, so coming to the back end, we've got our flap down. The very first seam on our flap is right at the edge of the load, so we've got a nice little overlay. Step one is going to be to move this out of the way. We're going to take a bungee and we're going to figure out where it's here. Now if it pulls up under here, that's all the better. But we're going to hook like that. We're going to come back this way. See how it's going under the load? We're going to find a spool, not a stake pocket. Stake pockets cut bungees. We want a spool. We're going to go through like that, come back up, and then we'll come back. And you'll notice I'm hooking towards the load. I'm more worried about putting holes in my tarps than I am about damaging the product. I haven't had any issues in 12 years of doing this with putting my bungees that direction, but paying attention to which direction your hooks are, it will really help your tarps last longer. So that's your front end. I've already done the same thing on the other side, so the back flap is done. Okay, the next step is we don't have, come on here, see. The next step is we don't have a lot of excess. If we did, I would actually fold it twice, but because we don't, I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna tug it kind of tight. I'm gonna go up and in. It's like one fluid motion, and it's if you can make it one fluid motion like that, it makes it a lot easier, especially when you have 10,000 miles of excess down there. I've already got a bungee hanging at the first D-ring inside the load. Okay, you notice my hook is pointed out so I don't poke holes in my tarps. I'm gonna come up here, I'm gonna grab this just to hold it. I'm going to take this back to the first spool I can find, or making sure that it's tight. I'm going to come down and I'm going to come out. Now, here's something else. A lot of people, they want to do like this and then try to come up. Well, if I do that, let me see if I can do it. If I do this and then I come up, that's about all I'm going to get, okay? But if you hold it like this, don't ever pull it towards your face because these things suck. And if you pull it like this, if that thing snaps, it's going to hit me right in the dick. That is not fun. So, grab it just like that. Use your other hand like that. Put your weight into it. Then, pull out. Now, what that's going to do is that's going to lock this part of it. You see how much more I've got? That's how you get your tarps tight right there. I'm going to hook it right here. And then that's just to hold everything in place. I've already got the other side done, so now we're going to move to the back. We're going to grab a few bungees. I already have some available. I'm gonna hop up here, and then I'm gonna come to my top, point my hook out so I'm not poking holes, hook the two bungees together just like that, and hook like that. Now I don't like how loose that is, so I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna hook it like this, and I'm pushing with my left hand while I pull with my right, and I'm going to hook back to the same hole. That gets it that much tighter. I'm going to do each hole on the way down. Actually, on this one, I might do every other hole. I think that is it. I'm going to do every other hole the exact same way. I'm going to hook it like that, fold it over, just like that. And I'm gonna come down to the bottom and do the same damn thing. Same exact thing. Ooh, that one's a tough one. Hey, you see how I use my leg on the tighter one? Use my leg to give myself a little bit of leverage there. Hook it up. Now that is a very nice looking back tarp. If I wanted to make it look that much better, I could throw a couple here and here, but I really don't need to. I really, really don't. Okay? Next step is to get more bungees. So we're gonna cut right there, and either the next video or I'll splice it together. I don't know. Go ahead and cut. All right, now that commercial break is over, this load is brought to you by Prime Incorporated. Prime, driven by the best. Wait, no, that's Swift. Fuck them. All right, so we did the back, we did our set bungees, and so what we're gonna do before we lay out the front tarp is we're just gonna get this, we kind of want this to lay up. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna lay 3 bungees. We're only gonna do 3 because we don't wanna overlap our bungees later. We're always planning ahead with our tarping and with our load securement and everything. Always be thinking about the next step. It's better to have your entire plan in your head before you get started. So we're gonna come under here, we're gonna grab it right about the rub rail, we're gonna fold it up just like that. We're gonna fold, not bunch, okay? We're gonna come, with this one, we're gonna do what I call a V pattern. We're gonna come down like that, and we're gonna hook up like that. Can you guess why I call it a V? It is exactly a V. Let's go to the other side so we can have a little better look. Since the sun is over there. All right. There are 4 ways that I do bungees, okay? One is the V that I just showed you that it looks like this entire load is gonna end up being done. Which again, so you can see better, we're gonna fold this up right at the rub rail, just like that. We're gonna go down through, we're gonna come up, and we're gonna hook. Now, let me stop for a second, because there's a lot of people that's gonna be watching this video that's gonna say, oh, no, you need to go around the spool. You shouldn't have anything outside the rub rail. And to them I say, I understand your reasoning. You say if someone sideswipes me that it's gonna cut my bungees. But here's the thing. If someone sideswipes me hard enough to cut my bungees, I have bigger problems than broken bungees. So this is the way we do it. But to each their own. If you want to go through the extra pain and the hassle in order to get it all inside the rub rail, more power to you. So this is your V pattern. And then this is going to be tricky because it's not going to, this load isn't designed for this, but I'd also do something called an L pattern. And that's where I start high and I will come down. I don't know if this is going to reach. I will give it, and then I come back up. Now I'm not gonna do this load this way because this is ridiculous right here, but I wanted to show you guys what it's like, and you'll see it better on other loads that I make videos for. You'll notice that I don't go down and then over, and the reason is because I want everything pulling away from the end. If you have a middle tarp, like on your prime tarps, you want to pull away from the center. Outside of that, always pull away from your end, and what that'll do is that'll tug it as you go, and that's another way that we make sure that these loads stay tight. Again, a tight tarp is a happy tarp because loose tarps flap, flapping causes tears, tears cost you money. Okay, so I'm gonna do these 3, and then I'm gonna do the 3 on the other side, and that's all I'm gonna do for now, and then we're gonna roll out that front tarp.
Okay.
Good?
Yeah.
All right, I've got my tarp laid up here, right on the edge. In a later video, probably at the end of this load, I'll make a video on how I roll my tarps up, how I fold them up. And then you'll see the reason I do it the way I do it is so that it's really easy to put on these loads. Set it right on the edge, come back here, roll it out just a little bit. You can grab this extra flap right here, and then just walk. Always be careful when you're up here. Always be careful when you're up here. This is really flat on top, all the way across. I don't have to worry about holes. But once you get your tarp laid out, you very well could have holes depending on the load. So you really got to remember where you can step and where you can't. You take this little part out, and what I'm looking for is this seam right here. Okay, there's a seam on the load. I don't know how well you can see it in the dark. I'll make future videos, you'll get a better idea. But that needs to be right on the edge. So that's the goal. We'll get this laid out, and then I'll show you how to do the front end. Good.
Cool.
Good. All right, so we got our front tarp laid out. I'm gonna come back here to the back of it. I've already done this on the other side. Can't quite reach. Now the only reason I'm hitting this D-ring instead of the eyelet is because I don't know if you can see, I'm missing the metal part of the eyelet right there on that fucking hole. So I'm gonna use the D-ring instead. I'm gonna come back this way, and I'm just gonna hook it to the rub rail just like that. And when you lay your tarps out, the first thing you always wanna do is get your four corners set, because nothing is more aggravating than getting your tarps laid out and then having the wind take it right back off again. So the front end is a little different than the back end, but it's essentially the same thing, just in the other direction. Okay, so same thing as before. We're gonna set a bungee at the first available D-ring inside the load. We're going to fold our stuff up and come around like that. We're going to go through the rub rail and hook back to ourselves. Now you'll notice the flap is not done. And the reason the flap isn't done is because you always want to think about which way does the wind blow when you're making your folds and doing your things with your tarps. The last thing you want to end up with is a parachute going down the road. That's going to cost you fuel mileage, and it's going to tear up your tarps. So on the back, we have our flap go in, and then our sides wrap around it so that the wind comes this way. On the front, we do the exact opposite. We have our sides come in, and then we have our flap come around it like this so that the wind comes this way and goes around the tarp without getting caught inside the tarp. Okay, so we're gonna take some bungees up here. We're gonna do pretty much the same thing we did before. I'm gonna put my hooks to the inside this time. Our front does not have to be near as tight as the back did. It really doesn't. So, actually I'm gonna put this up here. It doesn't have to be near as tight because our flap is gonna take care of that. So I'm not gonna worry about doing the fold over like we did on the other side, on the back there. So, like I said, we're gonna put our hooks to the inside to protect our tarps. We're gonna hook them together. Come back over here. Yes, that's a dry rotted bungee, but I use them until they break. Not everybody's willing to do that. I just make sure that if I do have a bungee that's looking like it's going to break, I don't put it somewhere important. So, all right, that should be good enough for now. We're gonna take our flap and bring it down. And then essentially we're going to do the same thing that we did on the back. We're going to find we're going to fold it up inside itself. We're going to figure out where where the natural fold is, which actually looks like it's going to be right here. Take that down like that. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and hook both of these together just to make sure that this doesn't come out the front. So we're going to take that around. We're gonna hook that right through there, just like that. Come down and up, hook out, protect the tarps. We skipped one. We're gonna go up there. If you can do that, that's the way you wanna do it. We're gonna do the other side. And then what we'll end up doing is I'll probably end up, well, that's never gonna work. I'll take probably that one and I'll take it back this way and hook it to the rub rail. Same thing with right here. I'll take it back this way and hook it to the rub rail. And I'll do that on both sides. But I want to get my sides done before I do that. So, the same thing as before, we're going to do 3 on each side. The reason we're going to do 3 and not go all the way down the side is because we don't want to pull our tarp to one side or the other. We want everything to stay as even and nice as possible. It makes it easier to bungee, and it makes it look better. And that's important out here. I mean, I have 3 rules when I secure loads. And rule number 1 is it safe? Or, well, rule number 1 is it legal? And if the answer to that isn't yes, then obviously we have more work to do. Rule number 2 is it safe? And by that, I mean, am I 100% okay with my kids riding in a vehicle anywhere near this truck? And if the answer to that is anything but a solid, resounding yes, then I have more work to do. You know, we want to be safe out here. We want our stuff to look nice. And then question number 3, is it pretty? Honestly, that's important to me. How this load looks is not a reflection of Prime. It is, but it's more of a reflection of me. And I for one, love it when the flatbedder that's been out here doing it 30 years or 40 years or however long comes up and goes, hey man, that's a damn good looking tarp job. You did a nice job there. I don't know about y'all, but that shit makes me feel great. I get compliments about my tarp jobs all the time. And it makes me feel really great. It makes me feel like I really know what I'm doing, and it builds my confidence in my job, and that's important. So, I'm going to get the other side done, and then I'll show you how to fold these up together. Actually, let me do that real quick before I move to the other side, because it won't hurt anything. Okay, so I'm going to lay a bungee about right here, and you'll notice that this is our back tarp, and this is our front tarp, okay? So I'm actually going to undo this one, it's in my way. So what I want to do is I want to kind of come back here about not quite halfway, and I'm going to reach under and I'm going to grab both tarps. I'm going to take my hand up to the rub rail. I'm pinching it right about the rub rail, right there. I'm grabbing both tarps at the same time. Come back down here, fold them both up together. And what that does is that makes the 2 tarps become one. And you don't have to worry about at the back end, how you get that little corner that sits there and flaps like that. It doesn't do that when you do it this way. So, and then I'm just going to take a bungee just like this, and I'm going to set it. I'm going to continue doing that all the way down the load. You notice this guy's sticking out here, so I'm going to come up here. I'm going to kind of get under there, grab them both at the same time, and I'm going to fold them up together just like that, and he'll stay. So, especially after I put this 3rd bungee back on there. So, and then it just becomes a matter of doing the same thing all the way down. I'm going to reach under and grab both. I'm going to fold them up together. Now normally I'd throw a bungee there, but I haven't done the other side yet, so I don't want to be tugging this way. Once I get to the back here, I'm going to grab this. I'm going to give it like a little tug to get it nice and straight and pretty. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to reach under and I'm going to grab both. Actually, you know, you remember how I said we don't want our bungees to overlap? We have one overlapping. So we're going to take him and we're going to undo him and let him hang. We'll use him later. We'll probably hook him right here. So we're going to tug it. We're going to grab both of them. Now this time when I grab this in and I take it under, I'm also going to pull it back. And that's going to kind of level everything out underneath is what it's going to do. So I'm going to take this just like this. I'm going to come under and I'm going to pull it towards the back of the trailer is what I'm doing underneath. And then just kind of set it there. And honestly, this will hold itself until I'm ready to put bungees on it. I'm going to go work on the other side. We'll get our bungees all the way down. We'll V-pattern all the way down this load, and then that's it. We're done. And we've got a beautiful square tarp job. Yes, this is one of the easiest ones you could possibly get. We got really lucky with this load. I will do more videos on some of the more complex tarp jobs that I've done. But I figured this was a great place to start because I can show you the basics, and it's nice and square. So again, as always, questions, comments, suggestions, all things are welcome. Any ideas for videos, anything like that, anything you're not sure of how to do you'd like to see, I can make a list. If I come across those loads, I'll absolutely make videos for them. Have a great day. You guys be safe. Peace.